Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics podcast. And of course, I'm your host, John June. And of course, got to have my guy here, Greg Penniman, with me. Greg, what's good, man?
What's going on? I mean, just really hype. This is I was telling you before, it's best weekend right now, divisional weekend. Uh, we got the best matchups, definitely like high quality all across the board. We get to see the number one seeds play for the first time, their little break. We get King Henry back this week. It was nice, kind of taking a break from fantasy, getting focused on real football and what's happening on the field. And of course, the betting and everything too is so it's always dope.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, we have
Feels
been
good to
able.
proudly talk about betting now.
Right, absolutely. We could talk about it. We could freely speak about it here in the state of New York, because it is online sports betting and sports gambling is legal. So, it's something we've been partaking in responsibly, of course,
Absolutely.
because that's all we condone and that's all we will recommend is responsible sports betting. But regardless of the matter, uh, we're enjoying it. We're having some fun, dabbling in some basketball and whatnot. So, um, also have to, it's been nice to get away from like fantasy a little bit because it wasn't like
Hmm.
a very frustrating year. It's probably one of the most frustrating seasons of fantasy that I've ever had.
Absolutely.
Um, like to feel like I've had really good teams like across the board, and for them to all get eliminated, whether the first week of playoffs or the second week. I had one team make it to the finals. I end up losing by 0.18, Greg, in a finals. The only finals
Oof.
that I was in is the first time since we started this podcast that I did not win a fantasy championship. So, it's just it was humbling, but it was very frustrating, to be honest.
Yeah, that's brutal. Especially with just all the COVID injuries, like people, teams, number one seeds, teams that they were really good, were just going into the playoffs looking real nice, and then I don't know, right around when Omicron hit, all the all the injuries, all the COVID bugs hit for a lot of players. I remember, I think in one of our leagues, you were able to activate, put as many people in the IR if they were on the COVID list. I literally filled up all the spots with a COVID player, like it was crazy, like.
Yeah, that I did feel bad for you that at that moment on the outside of the playoffs looking in. So, didn't feel too bad, but I felt bad for you, brother. But part of the reason why we didn't have the successful fantasy season that we wanted to have was partly because of some calls that we made here on this show, some recommendations that we might have made here on this show, whether it was preseason or in season. And so we got to talk about our misses. And so this is the accountability show, and we're going to talk about some of our misses in episode 245. And obviously, next week we'll talk about our hits. But we do, we gotta take responsibility for these misses here because not only did it cost us, but it probably cost you guys in the long run too. So I'll definitely want to be accountable. So I'll start here. This one's pretty easy. Saquon Barkley, man. No risk it, no biscuit. Sometimes you risk it and you still don't get the biscuit. I had this man as my as my number two running back uh, at one point in this offseason. I think by the time we got to the preseason, I think he was third or fourth for me. But I can't believe that was a take to have this guy to be the number two running back overall in this offense, right? Saquon
Yeah,
Barkley,
it
talented
wasn't
player,
him. Yep. Yeah.
totally get it.
Yeah.
But this offense was Jason Garrett was the offensive coordinator, got fired mid-season. I don't even think he made it that far. Joe Judge calling QB sneaks from his own 9 yard line on 3rd and 9. I mean, dude didn't even make it. He got fired. The GM got fired. So, you know, not to mention, I mean, again, we talked about the offense, but not to mention the injuries he was dealing with too, right? So like he's coming into the season, coming off the torn ACL. I was expecting too much from Barkley, who at the time was less efficient than his own backfield mate in Devontae Booker. For the times he was on the field, 12 games, he was the RB 31 in PPR points per game, averaging 11.7 PPR points. Definitely not what we wanted from a guy that, again, had him ranked as my running back 2, ultimately settled in as the running back 3 for me by the time we got to the running back show. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna take that one on the chin as a miss.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just he was just situation, one of those things where he was on the worst offense in the league. I stand by it. Like I don't think there was a offense worse than that team. Um, just for everything, all the factors. They somehow got worse after firing Jason Garrett. Like it's crazy.
You
Uh,
tried to talk me out of it. I don't know. I don't know why I
nah,
didn't listen, but
because he's Saquon. Like he should be able to overcome some stuff. But nah, it didn't happen. For me, I mean, yeah, definitely Chase Claypool was probably the big one. Uh, definitely this would be the huge leap year for him, especially in the touchdown department. He got 10 last year, only got 2 this year. Didn't get the 1,000 yards, only averaged 11.1 fantasy points per game. I mean, situation didn't help him either. But Deontay Johnson was able to come through. So I can't blame it all on Big Ben, I guess. It just Big Ben's style didn't fit to Claypool this year for sure. Getting down the field and getting those deep long passes. But yeah, definitely missed there.
yeah, I this was one where I think I tried to talk you out of it, so I guess we're both guilty here. But Chase Claypool, I mean, I think when you look at his, yeah, obviously it was disappointing this year, but I think when you look at next year from a dynasty perspective, he could be a guy that, like, if your team is struggling, and you're selling veteran players and you're trying to maybe go on that productive struggle, as we like to call it, maybe Chase Claypool is a guy that you end up buying in return for selling a valuable veteran or valuable trade chip, because he doesn't look overly attractive right now, but Juju Smith-Schuster only signed a 1-year deal, still scheduled to be a free agent.
Hmm.
James Washington, he's also a free agent. It's really just Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool. Don't know who the quarterback is going to be right now. Right now, it's looking
Right.
like it'll be Mason Rudolph. So
Oof.
uh, if he gets I mean, but if a quarterback upgrade comes in there, right, you're looking at Chase Claypool now being the number 2 receiver, probably the number 3 receiver, because Najee Harris is probably going to be the number 2 target over these next few years on that team. But when you look at, like you said, Chase Claypool didn't really fit with Big Ben because of his
Yeah.
downfield ability, and Big Ben doesn't get the ball down the field as much as, not like he used to back in the day. So I think if they bring a quarterback in here that has some of that deep ball ability, could be, wheels up for Chase Claypool in the future.
Right. Yeah, that is a good point for sure. So it could be a good nice buy low in Dynasty.
Definitely. And so we're talking about wide receivers. We're talking about teammates and missing on one, hitting on another. Um, I'm gonna talk about Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel. So obviously Brandon Ayuk, the guy on my wall back there. Uh, this one double hurts because I was head and heels in love with Brandon Ayuk. And that I never once thought to look Debo Samuel's way. And we'll talk about Debo in a minute, but on Ayuk, I was just stuck on that stretch of last year where the 49ers didn't have Kittle, they didn't have Debo Samuel, and they were down in literally every game that they were in down the stretch. And they had to throw the ball, and Ayuk was seeing a 30% target share. But I didn't really realize at the end of the day that that's not who the Niners want to be, right? The
Hmm.
Niners don't want to be a team throwing the ball 50, 60% of the time. Um, and they didn't want to obviously operate that way without two of their best playmakers in Debo Samuel and George Kittle. Um, but also what I should have realized, and not to take anything away from Ayuk, because he ended up having a bouncing back down the stretch, and I still think he's going to be a really good player, and is going to be a good player next year. Even if you even look at what he's doing in the playoffs, he's playing well. Um, but the fact that I caused me to miss on a player like Debo Samuel, not realizing that Debo Samuel is a player that I actually loved 2 years ago, right? Like when he was a rookie, he was one of those guys that I
Yep.
was like, hey, we got to play Debo Samuel. We got to pick him up, yada, yada, all these things. And he's also a guy who graded out highly in my model along with Brandon Ayuk. But I just fell in love again, with Ayuk and the player that he was from the class, and the attachment that I guess I had to having him across all these teams, not realizing that Deebo Samuel's a player, the versatility that he has is the things that I usually go after. So it's just kind of crazy. His ADP of 36 was right where I had him as the wide receiver 36. He finished as the wide receiver 3. So that's a huge miss by me there. I had no Deebo Samuel, a lot of Brandon Ayuk, and ultimately my team is paid for it.
Yeah, Deebo Samuel just lights out, man. This man can do it all, rushing, passing. I mean, rushing. Yeah, I think passing too. Yeah, he can do whatever he wants, man.
Literally everything,
Yeah,
bro.
everything.
I mean, that run he made against the Cowboys last week to
Yep.
seal the game, like, you don't even see some running backs make that cut
No,
that he
no,
made. Like the
no.
guy is just so good. He's such a good football player, and he's so fun to watch. Like, even amidst like all the Brandon Ayuk struggling, like I couldn't even be mad that Deebo Samuel was just having a career year because he's just so fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Greg, you got anything else that you wanna?
I guess sticking with the wide receivers. Yeah, the wide receivers is probably the most volatile position. My ride or die was I didn't have Kenny G ranked high, but my ride or die was Kenny G. Just him being in the same me talking about him at some capacity makes him a miss because of what he basically was non-existent on the field. But that goes to show for the entire Giants offense. And I mean, I guess for the whole fantasy community, Allen Robinson was a miss, honestly. It was pretty bad. Just again situation, but it's not like Darnell Mooney couldn't get his. He was able to come through and be a very good sleeper wide receiver this year. Allen Robinson, a steady low end borderline wide receiver one every year. Just bottomed out, like literally bottomed out.
Yeah, that was that one was bad.
Yeah,
You know, I actually was in an auction league and I got Allen Robinson for a very cheap price. And I thought I was getting a steal here, and
yeah,
ultimately like I had to drop him. Probably I think it was like by week 5 or something like that. And even then, I probably waited too long. But you
yeah.
know, just you say something, Greg?
No, I was saying that's pretty early than most people. Honestly, that was pretty. You were able to get rid of him early.
Well, I was holding on at that point to like him, Ayuk, Elijah Moore. I was trying to make my decisions.
Ah,
All three were struggling at the
yep.
same time. It was very bad. Um, but you know who wasn't struggling at that time? CeeDee Lamb. But you know who struggled as the season progressed?
CeeDee
CeeDee
Lamb.
Lamb.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and I went back to back starts of the week with my guy too. Heading into the playoffs, I said, "Hey, man, the opportunities here in terms of the target share, the matchups are here. This guy, he's got to show up. The Cowboys need these wins, and it just was not happening. I expected him to be a top 8 wide receiver. He finished, barely made it inside the top 20. So, a lot of it is a function. I mean, if there was a tweet out the other day, Brian Baldy
Hmm.
was on Lindsey Rhodes' podcast, and he was talking about how the Dallas Cowboys do not call plays for CeeDee Lamb. It is the most frustrating thing because they do
Really?
play. They play him in this. They don't play him in the slot when Michael Gallup's not healthy, obviously. And then we watch Said Will go in the slot and obviously kill. But
Yep.
Baldy called CeeDee Lamb the best slot wide receiver in all of football. And the things that he can do in the slot after the catch, down the seam, matched up with safeties, running behind linebackers. So while I do take an L for this one, I am going to blame the Cowboys partially. Uh, and yeah, that one's really it for CeeDee Lamb.
Damn, that's not something you want to hear for, especially with Kellen Moore trying to get these jobs out here. Like, why don't you get head coaching jobs? Give your best player like plays. Like, I don't know. Maybe CD should just yell at his coach and say, "Give me the ball," like Debo, man. That's
Right? Or
sick.
like Amari Cooper did, and then
Yeah,
suddenly you get all these targets again.
that's crazy. I didn't realize that. Wow.
You got anything else, Greg? I mean, I got a few. I got one more really that has some points, and then I got a few bullet points I want to cover. But
Uh, got some extra ones as far as tight end. John Smith definitely was high on him as far as a tight end asset. Kind of winning that battle over Hunter Henry, but Hunter Henry did end up winning that, getting the touchdowns and getting John Smith became that glorified blocking tight end kind of in that offense. He's a better blocker, so I guess that's why they used him to his strengths. So it didn't help him there. And also Ryan Tannehill had him as a QB1, uh, borderline QB1, doing what he's got to do right above Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. Just not getting him the attempts that we expected this year. The pace really did take him down a notch, and also 'cause he, as far as getting down the field as well. AJ Brown being hurt, not a lot of downfield options as far as Julio Jones didn't come through as a pickup as well. So that didn't help him, yeah, getting down the field, getting those yards per attempts.
Yeah, definitely Ryan Tannehill. I mean, he's on my list as one of these bullet points because he was my guy for me. He was the guy that I even said on multiple occasions that while I had Tom Brady ranked higher, I'd probably take Tannehill later, be more comfortable taking Tannehill later because of the rushing ability that he has in the offense. And that we never saw that at points in the season. So it was just like not a great year for Tannehill. The last real big point I want to talk about is Kyle Pitts, and I'm gonna like half take a L here. Like part of me feels like I shouldn't have to because talk about a guy who was third in yards at the tight end position. He was first in yards per reception, 15.1 at the tight end position. Only had one touchdown on the season, so he ultimately finished as the tight end 11 in fantasy points per game. If you look at total fantasy points, he was the tight end 6. I had him ranked as my tight end 4. That was a lot in line with consensus, but it did cause me to miss out on Mark Andrews, who I had as my tight end 5.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, you know, Kyle Pitts, while I will take this L here, I think there's some major touchdown regression coming for the rookie tight end who had 1,000 receiving yards. He's the no other tight end underperformed in the touchdown department greater this season than Kyle Pitts did. So that's a fact, and I will stand by that.
Yeah, I mean his ADP next year should be, I mean, definitely lower than this year. So I mean, I think that buy would for next season would be a hit because there's no way he gets one touchdown again this next season, one or two touchdowns.
I feel like
Expect
fantasy managers are going to be they're gonna
they're gonna be thinking that, so they're
I
gonna go
think they're
still
gonna be thinking that, and they're also gonna be like looking for because we see these ascension type players, right? Like
Yep,
you see like a Jonathan Taylor make that leap from being a top 15 running back to being the number one overall running back. Like you see Joe Burrow make that ascension. People are gonna be looking for those players, and Kyle Pitts kind of
yep.
fits that
He definitely fits that bill. Yeah,
yeah, so I
yeah.
feel like fantasy managers might be willing to take him as a top, again, where he was going in this top 5 of tight ends. Because especially if you felt like if you were me and you were taking him at 4, you probably feel comfortable taking him at 4 again because he pretty much did everything you thought he would outside of score the touchdowns that you thought he would score.
Right, right.
Um, anything else for you, Greg?
Uh, Allen Robinson doing deal, I guess, has to do with Justin Fields, but that also ties with Matt Nagy. I feel like the Bears as a whole, yeah, could have been a make, but it was a miss because of just that trickle down effect, man. Justin Fields could have been unleashed. I don't know what the Bears. I guess the Bears are deciding to keep Matt Nagy. They haven't fired him yet, so this might be.
No,
They
Matt
did. Did they
was
fire
not.
him?
Was he not fired?
I,
Could have
I said
sworn Matt.
I'm hoping.
No, he was.
Oh, he was. Uh,
Yeah, he was fired. He was fired.
Okay, cool, 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 cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm here. I'm here for it. The return. The bounce
Yeah,
back.
so yeah, I Justin Fields, man, that one definitely hurt because I know I was definitely on that bandwagon with you. I mean, he was a guy that as soon as he got that start, quarterback start of the week, I went back to the well multiple times. I think it
Hmm.
only worked out for me one time. So uh, him with along with some other guys like Taylor. Every time I mention Taylor Heineke as a start of the week, that fell through. Um, again, we talked about Ryan Tannehill as my guy. I wish I had more Cooper Kupp. It's not even like I didn't like Cooper Kupp. I love me Cooper Kupp. I just didn't have any of them because I was too busy getting Brandon Ayuk at that price. Um, the Chargers being a playoff team, that one didn't come through, and I was, circling the wagons in like week 7. Like, yeah, Chargers, look at them after they beat the Chiefs, and here they are not being a playoff team. So, egg on my face for that.
Hey man,
Uh,
that's we all know whose fault that is. Calling that timeout, man. They should be in the playoffs, yeah.
I was just trying to think if there was anything else that I had missed out on. I mean, I'm not gonna take an L on Calvin Ridley. I think
Nah,
everybody.
there's no,
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe
Uh,
Terry McLaurin this year. I don't.
yeah, Terry McLaurin. I mean, I didn't looking at my top 12. I didn't have him in my top 12, but
Got you.
definitely had I would consider that a miss. DK Metcalf, I had him at 10. That's
Yeah,
a miss for sure.
yeah,
Um, trying to think who else. Think that's really it.
yeah. Think so.
If I look at if I look at where I had the quarterbacks, yeah, I didn't have anybody egregious. Russell Wilson at 7.
Same. I have
I
eight.
was never gonna have any Russell Wilson like
True, true.
um it had Tannehill 8. Like that's gross. I had Tannehill 8 above Rodgers and Tom Brady. Like that was gross.
Yeah, I'm at 10. I
Yeah.
wish. Yeah, it's all right.
So
Hey,
I think that
maybe the Titans sign. I don't know, like Chris Godwin or something like that. We'll see.
the Titans you said?
Yeah, Titans
Oh,
they need a receiver, man. They need another
bro,
one.
like the Falcons clearly won that Julio trade.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a classic John dynasty move. Like ship your veterans out right before, yo.
That's how it's done, man. Hey, I may hate the Patriots, but I admire Bill Belichick, and so he's the master at that, getting rid of a player a year too early before a year too late. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, I just wish it had worked on AB when I actually had done it because my man's like played like 3 years of good football after it happened because I traded him when he was traded to the Raiders, and I was like, yes, and nah, he's been valuable until now, until now.
Yeah, yeah.
But we'll see what happens because he could still end up playing football again like
That's
next year.
crazy.
He could play like next week, realistically.
That's crazy. That is
Well,
crazy.
the Bills are like, hey,
No, no way him and Diggs could be in the same locker room. I cannot accept that. They would
what if Aaron Rodgers calls him?
The Titans should call him, honestly. That's what they should do.
I
The Titans should
mean,
call
I don't know if more receivers is their problem. What are they
him.
don't even throw the ball enough. He can't.
That's true. They haven't told him to them
He
anyway.
couldn't exist there. Oh man. All right, let's talk about some playoff football, man. The divisional round is a really good round. It's probably, as you like to say, Greg, the best round in the playoffs, and I find it hard to disagree with you there. What's your favorite matchup this week? We got 4 games: Cincy versus Tennessee, San Fran versus Green Bay, LA versus Tampa Bay, and Buffalo versus Kansas City. What is your favorite matchup that starts today as we record this on Saturday, right before noon?
Oh, I all the games are great, but I think the answer is still a layup for me. I mean, Bills Chiefs. I mean, you tweeted this morning, showed us a tweet this morning about how this could be the Manning Brady of our era. Josh Allen versus Pat Mahomes, the rematch. They played a lot of times, so that's good. You want to see that. That's what ties into being that Brady Manning in big situations. They played early in the year. Josh Allen got it. They played last year in the AFC Championship. Pat Mahomes got that one. Yeah, it's gonna be a great game. I think just again in Kansas City definitely doesn't help Buffalo for sure. But yeah, it's going to be very intriguing. I'm very intrigued. I'm also very intrigued to see if Kelsey could keep this playoff 100-yard streak going. So I got that bet in for that. For 80 yards, for 80 yards. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be the most intriguing matchup of the weekend, man. And NFL, they knew it. They put it Sunday, 6:30. it's the last matchup of the playoff divisional round, and it's got the highest total on the slate, 53.5 points.
Whew, love it.
So, like you look at these quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Um, I feel like I've been saying this for a while now. Like if you look across the teams in the AFC, the team that best matches up with Kansas City, it's got to be Buffalo because they're the only team that they can say to Kansas City like, okay, you want to score 40 points, that's
Yep.
fine. We'll match you, right? And it's really going to come down to how do these defenses play. Like Greg, who do you have winning this game here? Because I know we get on here and it's Patty, but like
Patty.
who's really good? Who do you have winning this game here?
I'm still rolling with the Chiefs, man. I mean, I think the edge is being in Kansas City. Honestly, that's really the edge. If it was in Buffalo, I think I would give Buffalo like a serious shot winning. I think it's gonna be close. I just think Kansas City gets it done. I still have them making the Super Bowl. Going against the Packers, the State Farm Bowl will happen, man.
Yeah, man, it's funny because one of our Super Bowl picks will be shattered in this game. I mean, I
True.
guess, I mean, we assume both you and I picked the Packers, so assuming the Packers will have won,
Right. Right.
and we get to Sunday night. I mean, one of our Super Bowl picks will have been shattered. So because I'm picking the Buffalo Bills to win this game, I picked the Buffalo Bills in the preseason to play the Packers. Um, to just be disappointed. But anyways, these
It's
teams they match up
Ooh,
evenly well. I
yeah,
mean,
they
the
do.
offenses. I think the edge. I do give the edge to Buffalo because they do play better defense. Even without Tre'Davious White, they found a way to glue that thing back together and get it right. And I think Josh Allen's legs in the run game is along with the emergence of Devin Singletary and what he's done. I think that's really going to give Buffalo the bring them over the top here in this game.
Yeah, no, I mean it's gonna take Casey's best game for sure. It's gonna take Casey like that game against the Chargers when Mahomes, Kelsey, and Hill all had like 200 yards. It felt like I think it's gonna take that like a
Yeah.
really outstanding performance.
Yeah, it's gonna take a really outstanding performance, like no mistakes by Mahomes. Like you can't
Yeah.
turn that ball over.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting matchup for sure. I'm also intrigued by this Cincinnati Tennessee matchup. I
Of
know,
course, the new hotness.
like, like how could Joe Burrow first? Like, I feel like for him last week to only get 6.5 against the Raiders, and for that thing to come down to like I think 4.5 by kickoff, like that just felt disrespectful. Because I'm like, you see what my man Joey B just like, you see what he did, right? And then we're here, and he's a 3.5 point dog to the Tennessee Titans. I really feel like this game should be closer to a pick 'em.
It's because it's his first road playoff game in Tennessee against the one seed. I get it. But yeah, Joey, like you said, Joey B covers, man. Joey B covers. So uh,
Yeah, man.
I got the Bengals winning, honestly.
No, and honestly, I have the Bengals winning this game too. So, because I really feel like they should win this game. I feel like their offense is explosive. The one thing I do know is Tennessee's pass rush. They do get after the quarterbacks. I doing my
Joe Burrow is the
projections
most
this
sacked
week.
quarterback. Yeah.
Joe Burrow is pretty sacked, and I projected him to be the most, at least give up the highest sack rate of the games this weekend. So
Hmm.
we know how that could affect the quarterback, but I feel like they've got so many weapons on the outside. Obviously, uh, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and then Tyler Boyd in the slot. I think that there's some opportunities here for some plays to be made because while the Titans do get after the quarterback, their secondary has been kind of suspect outside of All Pro safety Kevin Byard. So I'm really looking for Cincinnati. I actually like this game to go over, 47 and a half. I think both these offenses they have playmakers, right? Derrick Henry's coming back, AJ Brown, he can go off at any moment. So Julio Jones looks a little bit healthier, so I think I like the over in this game too.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely could go anyway. I mean, I think the Titans are the best coach team in the league. Like they're so disciplined. The fact that they're one seed with beating quality teams all year is crazy. So Mike Vrabel will have these boys ready.
What are you feeling about this Rams Bucks matchup, man?
That every day I'm back and forth because the Bucks on paper shouldn't win with their injuries. I think Rams just have a better roster right now. They're healthier. Um, but betting against Brady just sounds wrong. Like you don't bet against Tom Brady. It's in Tampa. That does help him a little bit. It's just it's gonna be. I'm gonna go. I do think the Rams get it done though. I really do think. I think the Rams get it done. I do think the Rams get it. Oh man,
Yo, it's
I
so
don't know.
tough, bro,
It
because
is tough. This is
when
the toughest game to call, honestly.
yeah, I mean, honestly, it really might be because when I woke up when the lines came out on Sunday and I saw Rams are 3.5 point dogs, right? I'm like, oh, give me Tampa on the spread. Cover three and
Yeah.
a half at
Yep.
home. Brady just watched them dominate Philly,
Yep.
right? Like, sure, give me that. And as the week progresses, right, I'm sitting here, I'm getting ready to do my projections, and I'm looking at I'm looking at the Bucks depth chart, and it's like, okay, well, at receiver they got no Brashad Perriman. Obviously, we know there's no Chris Godwin. Antonio Brown, we know he's out. So it's really just Mike Evans, Scotty Miller.
Playoff Lenny. I mean, he was one of the leaders in receptions this year at
Playoff,
running
they do
back.
get playoff Lenny back, so this is
Yeah.
good. But when you really look at how I'm expecting Tom Brady to really try to attack, right? Because you feel like as long as he has Evans, as long as he has Gronk, like he'll be okay.
Yeah.
And so part of me feels like, well, the Rams know that they have Jalen Ramsey. They can just put him on Mike Evans, and I feel like that's just like with Jalen Ramsey's length and his physicality and his tenaciousness. I feel like he could just pretty much, make it a difficult day for Mike Evans. And then it's just really focusing on Gronk and then the run game. I do think, like you said, playoff Lenny is gonna have it. I think getting him back is huge
Yeah.
for the Bucks because that's a way to expose this Rams defenses in the run game.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I might change my pick again before the game starts. Like betting against Brady, like he's got it done with less before. So like
yeah, honestly, man. So, uh, no, it's gonna definitely be exciting. It's definitely gonna be good football, and definitely look forward to watching it. So, everybody, definitely appreciate y'all kicking it with us. This is all we got for right now. So, come back next week. We're gonna talk about those hits. So, definitely gonna be some feeling ourselves on here.
hmm
I don't know. Greg doesn't have any puns for us this year, so he's not. Last year you were fully yourself.
Oh, got it. Right. Yeah, I don't have yeah. Nah, I
Ain't
mean,
got nothing this year, but you know,
yeah,
uh, just
yeah.
oh, excuse me.
Crazy.
Just come back next week. We'll discuss all of our hits. We'll keep talking some playoff football. Keep talking some of these this betting talk.
I got it. Hopefully we don't talk as swiftly during our hits. Uh-huh. 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 Yes, sir. Let's go.
And with that one, we're out of here. Have a good one, everybody. Enjoy playoff football. Peace.
We out.